Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
No, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in to my show. I'm the American Anchor Baby. Gonna get going here in a moment. Got ourselves a Thursday show. Gonna be chilling and doing our thing here, right? Some news items I didn't get to, and plenty of stuff to get into. So we'll be running it down today. Running it down, my links and all that, but we'll also be taking your calls. That's 888-775-3773. You want to jump on the line and talk. So thanks. Before we get going here, one way you can support is just following, just dropping that like, dropping that follow, subscribe over here on YouTube. You like the stream, chat away in the chat, even leave a comment below. That will help for sure. Thank you for that. And you can do the same over on Rumble, rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Thank you. I see you guys over there. Right on. Right on. So, welcome. How y'all doing? Thursday chilling. Illegal intro. Appreciate that. Nice. This is true, Mr. Mad. This is true. You're correct, Mr. Matt in the chat. Day number 21 of asking American Anchor Baby to silk screen us a hot dog shirt. He wants a hot dog shirt. Who wants a hot dog shirt? You know, I want that to be really cool. I got a good idea for that one. Mr. Mad, so I appreciate your unending requests. Right on. Very cool. Okay, so where was I? Not guilty, he says. Not guilty, he's saying. Trump is saying he's Donald Trump pleads not guilty in Georgia in the Georgia election interference case. You know what's going on. He's pleaded not guilty, and this continues. This will continue. You know what's going on. So he's pleaded not guilty on all this. And we'll be watching, of course, as this heats up. But, talking a little Trump. I see your calls coming in too, by the way. Thank you. 888-775-3773. I'll get to you in a second here. But yeah, Trump. That's a big topic. Duh. You know what Trump's saying, though? He's not going to take it anymore. We will not comply, he's saying, with these lockdowns. Some are saying they're looming. They're coming back. COVID lockdowns, they say. Now people are getting ready. I went to the grocery store nearby, and I noticed everybody had masks again, the cashiers. But the one that I was dealing with, I asked, well, when did they start making you wear them again? And he said to me, they don't make me. In a very curt, quick, they don't make me. Okay. All right. Just wondering. Just wondering, man. Maybe I asked the wrong person. He didn't quite answer, didn't quite get to what I was asking, you know, if they're enacting a policy, right? The public wants to know, man. Are we getting locked down again? Some are saying that's definitely not happening. You know, you heard, I played Tucker's thing yesterday saying definitely they're not going to lock us down. Instead, they're going to start a war, World War III. I have something to say about that because I played that yesterday. I realized something. And you can tell me if it's a silly realization or not. But Trump not guilty. And there was such an interesting call. Denny on the Hake Report about Marcus Aurelius. You definitely want to check it out. Go check out the Hake Report. But I was saying, sometimes, I've said this before, but not everything has to apply to Trump. He's above the law in some cases, especially when it's one-sided like this. Can we really get all legalistic and by the book when it's totally political? Anyways, he's saying he's not locking down, will not comply.
Left-wing lunatic.
Can we appreciate this a little bit? Huh? Can we appreciate this a little bit, huh?
Are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdown.
I want to play this from the beginning. Watch.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply. So don't even think about it. We will not shut down our schools. We will not accept your lockdowns. We will not abide by your mask mandates. And we will not tolerate your vaccine mandates. They rigged the 2020 election, and now they're trying to do the same thing.
Whoa, buddy, Trump, don't get me banned here, man.
All over again by rigging the most important election in the history of our country, the 2024 election, even if it means trying to bring back COVID. But they will fail because we will not let it happen. When I'm back in the White House, I will use every available authority to cut federal funding to any school, college, airline, or public transportation system that imposes a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Sounds pretty serious. So even if it does happen, Trump is not going to comply. He will not comply. I saw some people saying, oh, but you were president in 2020. You could have stopped it back then, blah, blah, blah. You were president in 2020 and you didn't stop it, huh? But can we be normal a little bit? Okay? Can we be a little bit normal here? Because I remember when all of you guys also thought it was a deadly pandemic, okay? So don't LARP. Don't pretend. You remember that. You remember when you thought it was a deadly pandemic too, okay? And who's saying it's not, by the way? YouTube. YouTube, by the way, I'm not saying it's not. But anyways, look, let's be normal here. I mean, you remember that. You were there. We were all there. Okay? So, changing world, heating up elections, all this is going on. And I played this clip yesterday. It was Tucker Carlson. He was talking about a incoming war. He's sure that these lockdowns aren't going to happen again. He's saying he's sure of it because people are... Oh, they're not going to go along with it. And I hope that's true, I guess. I don't know if I've really been shown otherwise, you know. The cashier at the grocery store, anecdotal, okay, fine, it's just one person. Maybe I should have asked someone else, but the one person asked, he seemed like he looked like a male. He didn't have any colored hair or colored fingernails or right? And he's like, no, they don't make me. So I don't know if Tucker's right about that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of an important point. It's kind of thematic a little bit in some of the stuff I'll talk about today. Didn't plan it to be. It's kind of a whatever show. Anyways, look, that's what the cashier said. And so Tucker, I'm talking about Tucker. I played his clip yesterday. And I didn't play this one. He also has another fear. Or I don't know if I could call it a fear, but prediction and, a worry of his or whatever. Tucker Carlson on Trump speeding towards assassination. Kind of a spicy word there, Tucker.
What do you think the future holds? Is it?
I don't know.
I mean, are they going to let Trump be president?
No, of course. I mean, look, if, they protested him, they called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times. And every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that.
Can you please say schmashashination, please, Tucker? Help us out here, man.
But I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have him. I mean, they're putting him on trial in March of next year in the J6 case, which basically consists of...
Anyways, we got the part. We got the footage. We got the clip. Okay, so look. Something I was thinking about. This clip and the one I played yesterday, him saying that it's not going to be a lockdown. The U.S. will, through a false flag event, not unlike the Gulf of Tonkin, etc., will enter a hot war with Russia within the year or next year, whatever he said. And I'm not saying that's not true, but just the way he said it, the way he's talking about it, and he's not the only one. He's not the only one. I realize there's a couple of conservative people I respect speaking in this manner, and I'm wondering if I'm sussing something out here, y'all. If you disagree, go ahead. Feel free to call 888-775-3773. But he's talking about. He's saying, "Oh, it's just gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. World War III. It's just gonna happen. Nothing we could do. What? It's just gonna happen, folks. Folks, they're marching in like these psychopaths, and Biden is old Mr. Magoo just walking into World War III. It's just gonna happen, folks. And it's out of our control. They're speeding towards assassination. It's just, well, he didn't say, he's not so much saying it's gonna happen with that, but kind of the same spirit here. It's just going to happen, folks. There's just nothing we can do. But, I mean, I don't know if that you could just say it's just going to happen. Like, I understand that many things are out of our control. Individual control. People waking up, for example, is unlikely to a degree where they would not go along with the, the left-right game that keeps these wars going, etc. It's unlikely, and people waking up, and I say that tentatively, right? It's like with an asterisk, people waking up being unlikely. Well, then Trump ran, and a whole bunch of people woke up. You could judge it. Oh, they're not really waking up, or they didn't wake up as much as I'd like them to. But he woke up a lot of people, straight up. And so I say that with an asterisk, but still, okay, it's unlikely. There's a lot you can't affect, out of your control. This government, all that corruption, I mean, how are you going to change that? Oh, even if you were a good guy, you went in and tried to work your way to the top. What are you really going to do? How are you really going to change anything? We really are just walking into a third world war, and it's just going to happen, folks. But it's not just going to happen. Like, that's like assuming that you can't forgive and overcome anger. And that you might think that's silly for me to say that. Like, Nick, that's stupid. Really, you think that's what Tucker has to say? Go forgive, and then we'll avoid war. But he's with that mentality, and I don't know his heart, what he's really thinking. Maybe this is a stretch. Let me know. Call my show. But he's saying, like, it's just going to happen. It doesn't just have to happen, because that is assuming, it implies that we bear no responsibility. The public, us, you and I, people watching this show, myself, with all the things I talk about and all the things I complain about. The mirror's on me, too. it implies we bear no responsibility. I mean, am I making some sense here? Come on, y'all. So it doesn't just have to happen. We don't just have to. These people out there, we can't, we're still ourselves, our individual selves. Okay, maybe it's fantastical, but I think it's still true. I believe it's still true, what I'm saying here. Where's the twinkle in your eye? No, okay, it's not even that fantastical, really, guys. It's just the assumption that it's just going to happen is kind of a weird psyop. And I don't know, I don't want to assume sinister, but, no, I'm really not assuming sinister, but I'm just saying I don't think we have to go along with that. It's just going to happen. I'm getting all these calls. Let me get to the calls here. What I want to say, last thing here. Man, January 6th, people are getting sentenced 17 years on this Joe Biggs guy. Let me quickly show you guys Joe Biggs, since it's part of this little segment. And then I'll get to the calls. Joe Biggs, Proud Boys, former Proud Boys. Of course, he's now former Proud Boys. Leader Joe Biggs sobs during sentencing as he's given 17 years in prison over January 6th after begging court not to. Let me pull up this article so you guys can see what I'm reading here. 17 years in prison, begging court not to separate him from his daughter and cancer-stricken mom, his mother. Joe Biggs. Okay. There you go. Joe Biggs. Okay. This is Joe. Not Biden. Not Joe Biden. Joe Biggs. 17 years, right? Him and others were all found guilty of seditious conspiracy. It was like the second worst thing you can do to the country. By a Washington, D.C. jury. During his sentencing on Thursday, Biggs' lawyers argued he did not assault anyone, and they asked for leniency. And he's saying he's not a violent person, and he proved that. And it's interesting because he says, I know that I have to be punished, and I understand. But please give me the chance. I beg you to take my daughter to school and pick her up. And so, all this, the point here is like, these people are still going through this. He's the second, like, how do I describe it? He's after this other Oath Keepers guy, he's the second most punished out of the J6ers here, okay? And they're pretty serious. 17 years. They're calling it seditious conspiracy. And I'm not going to say that there isn't charges, proper, appropriate charges. And I know I'm not saying anything you haven't heard. But I'm not going to say there aren't proper, appropriate charges for some of the people that were here. And he says, I wanted to see what would happen. My curiosity got the best of me, he claimed. I'm not a terrorist. I'm one of the nicest people in the world, he says. And look, they're calling it all these things, but it's just not very accurate, okay? They say the judge here told him he played a role in riling up the crowd, okay? And like I said, there may be proper charges here for that as well. But he says, if you don't like how an election is conducted, this Judge Timothy Kelly says, you could speak out, call, write, or meet with election officials. You can engage in peaceful protest and file a lawsuit. It's just a kind of ironic for him to say peaceful protest in his sentencing of Biggs, when it largely was, when you consider it was a really small fraction of people that went in. And even out of the ones that went in, most were, they call it meandering about. So like I said, there's proper charges here. But we're not living in a proper system. Nothing about it, we could trust it. And so that's an ongoing thing. Joe Biggs, 17 years. And he says it too. He says he got excited. My curiosity got the best of me. And you got to understand that that's probably how most people felt. You could imagine if hold on. Hold on. Hake is saying sentenced or facing. The Daily Mail headline says sentencing as he's given 17 years in prison. Given the judge ruled Biggs was qualified for terrorism sentencing enhancement. Biggs' sentencing is one of the harshest handed out in Capitol riot cases, only behind the 18-year sentence for Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes. So it looks like he really was given 17 there, Hake. And but where was I? Like, you can imagine, like, what if? How different would the whole thing be if everyone involved in the cases, all the judges and people were like, hey, look, we understand that it's not, most weren't rioting, it's just a few people, and we can't allow people, defacing property, and there's going to be proper charges here. Look, it was a mess. Sides are fighting here. We're going to stay out of the politics and charge what's required here and not go too far. We'll do our best to not go too far here. We understand that emotions are high, and we're here for you. We're here for you, the public. We're working for you guys. We're trying to keep the rule of law for all of you, and that includes assuaging any kind of, assuaging any worries and fears people might have of the system, because that can't continue for much longer. Just imagine how different would it have been, the whole situation. What else? And then the Judge Tanya Chutkan, that lady, what is she, Jamaican? In the Georgia case with Donald Trump. She's comparing J6 to 9/11 and the Boston Marathon bombing. That's how these people, that's their mentality. Okay, that's how they're thinking about it. And so we remain divided. It's a mess. Look, I got calls. Let me get to them. I got Justin Fullerton on the air. Appreciate your call, sir.
Hello?
Hey, Justin Fullerton on the air.
Oh, hey, Nick. I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. I was just giving a call because I think that what you say is very reassuring and based about, biblically based, the point about not to be too alarmed about, nations rising up against nations. If you think about it, World War III is just a figment of people's imagination. And like my friend told me, if you were in the battlefield of whatever, World War I, II, any conflict or thing that a soldier was out there in the battlefield, weren't they thinking this is the end of the world too? Mm-hmm. So I really think that the end of the ages is upon us. But I would say that all we need to be is just like ready, like a thief is going to come to your home. Always be at alert. Always be ready, but don't be alarmed. Don't be worried.
Yeah, all this talk. They say World War III. They say all this stuff. And I can't find myself being afraid of any of it. And I'm not trying to come off like this big old tough guy, but I honestly, I never talk about any of these things with a shred of like looming fear. I sometimes maybe a little too flippant, joking, and I don't know if it's out of naive or I don't have that fear, but I can't find myself getting worried or fearful about these things. It seems like the opposite thing I should be doing.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, definitely with fear, in reverence, to God and all that, how he can come back, but, like be ready, like a thief in the night can come anytime into your home and break in. And if it means boarding out the sin in your life and being focused on God and board it up, don't allow sin in. And if the time should come where he's going to return, be on the right side of heaven,
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I hope I maintain the same naivete in the trenches.
And just like Trump said,
like, whatever, I guess we're at war. Eh?
No, I know, but Trump, for example, has been at war, and he didn't panic. He's a great example. He wrote a letter, and at the end of it, he kind of compared himself to, I think, Daniel in the lion's den, or Joshua in the lion's den. And I think that there's a lot of people that are, on the fence about where their faith is. So it's definitely revealing.
I see. Did you say Trump was at war?
It's like he's going.
I thought you meant he was served. Never mind.
No, it's like he's been at war.
Totally.
Yeah, but
100%.
no, he's the only president that's kept us out of war. He's the only president that's it's kept the economy strong. And, there's a lot of underhand dealings on the side. So probably, he's going to be going through war with the deep state until he dies.
Mm-hmm. Wild, man. Yeah, he said, I saw a clip the other day. He was like, oh, I should have just kept my life. I had a beautiful life. I had such a beautiful life. It's true. I guess you could say that's over.
Why? How is that true?
About his what he left behind, and what he left behind was an illusion, but it was everyone loved him, and he had a beautiful life, and he could just travel and live his life. But now he's Trump, and he's public enemy number one, and they're indicting him and all that.
Yeah, well, what is an illusion, An illusion is something that is a manifestation of either a thought or misplaced emotion. And I think Lin Chen on different chats has said before about emotional constipation. So when you brought up a point about that satanic kid, the 14-year-old that went and killed, who he killed, and his family trying to back up some type of a stupid lie, apparently, there's bad parenting, but there's also something to be said about Satanism with the youth. And there's a lot of we're at a point where we're at a spiritual battle. That is the real warfare, and that doesn't need to be World War I, II, III, or IV. But we need to be on guards, making sure that the devil doesn't get a foothold. And the devil is on the left, right side. He's like a roaring lion waiting to devour.
And he does it through the family. He does it through the family, I think, first, and that's how you stop Satanism, right? It's like a good family, a good dad. The satanic influence comes in. The satanic influence comes in a more like psycho-spiritual plane, and it happens, and that the barrier between those two realms is real thin now, considering the lack of influence of the father. So they're left to the world's influences. Okay, I got you, man. Interesting.
Totally. So here's a practical example. You can't fix the government. You can't fix the world. You can't fix the country, you yourself, but you can take care of your community, your family, those around you. And, a simple act of kindness can be if the neighbor's kids need to get their bikes pumped, and, whether there's fathers or not in the community, you pump up their bikes. You know what I mean? You speak with their, guardians and say, if you need help, you volunteer your services as a coach. You do things in the community that are actually meaningful, and loving and kind and self-sacrifice. That's how you wage war against the devil.
I got you, man. Interesting stuff, Justin. I don't disagree. Appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Call me again. All right. Amazing. They're saying Trump is the only man that can save the West. The only man. And it just feels like Republicans aren't they're not even aware of what's going on, or willing to go with the lie, the big lie that, that we could just keep going with the old way, which is appeasement, not being really honest about what's going on, right? The between the races. And so pre-Trump, they want to go back to pre-Trump, a fantasy really, and they're willing to throw Trump under the bus to do it. That's kind of how I see it. More people want to talk about this. Let me get to Art, Ohio. You're on the air, sir.
Hey, what's up with you, Nick? How you doing, buddy?
Just fine, Art. Appreciate your call.
First thing first, and what? Now, you know that Fannie Willis girl is trying to indict Trump?
Yes.
In Georgia, the prosecutor or whatnot. Now,
right, Fannie Willis.
Yeah, think about this, Nick. You know, she was destined to be a loser or whatnot when her parents named her Fannie.
Yeah. Oh,
her name
Fannie.
is basically.
Oh no, Fannie. Bullied Fannie. Now bullied Fannie, we're assuming the bullying, but bullied Fannie has now got a little power.
But you don't think her name is basically the same name as donkey.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And she is publicly making herself look like a donkey.
Well, they say God has a good sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, God got a funny way of putting people out there and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is
like Anthony Weiner. It's one that comes to mind.
Prime example. He acts like a little wiener, I think. I can't remember what all he's done with it.
Well, I don't want to say too much more, but basically, it's a fitting last name. God was right when he created him. But sorry, go on.
Well, hey, so Nick, think about this or whatnot. So you notice how now Lord Bibby and my main man Hake or whatnot, take these notes, man, because you know Artadomus or whatnot is going to predict some things for you. Now you know that like a lot of these countries when Trump was in office, they were mad because Trump was basically putting America first and basically was beating China and Russia and these other countries at their financial game. He had basically risen America's finance to where they basically weren't able to get over on America. So a lot of these countries were mad when Trump was in because they couldn't basically push America around financially. So they didn't like that.
The gravy train.
Gravy train. So think about it. You would expect that they would want somebody like a Dementia Joe in office because they know when he's in office, it's back to the same old trick. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of America financially. So you got to keep in mind, they want Dementia Joe in office because it's back to the same old trick.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this. Did you notice that everything that they were saying against Trump, he was going to take us to WAR. Oh, he's not going to come out of office. He's going to try to remain as king.
Right.
He's trying to politically persecute his political opponents or whatnot. They were saying all this stuff about Trump and then come back and then they're doing it. So when I say this is my prediction now, Hake or whatnot. I know he's in the background listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking allegedly that we ain't gonna end up going to war when Biden's in office because everybody's taking America's getting screwed over right now. So they cool with that right now. What's going to end up happening is when Trump get back in there in 2024, that's what's going to draw and set the needle back or whatnot. That's going to be the straw that sets the camel back. You see what I'm saying?
Help me understand. You said that's the straw that what?
Will set the camel back.
Instead of breaking the camel's back.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
following.
Because I'm basically saying that I think that really is creepy, sleepy dementia that's in bed with these other countries. Remember how they always were saying that Trump was colluding with Russia? And we know that he wasn't. So if what I'm using as the example that I'm using, everything they said against Trump, it's them that's doing.
Big time, man.
It's just less than the Democrats that's doing. So what's the difference between what right now what I'm saying with Russia or whatnot? I'm saying that they collude. I'm saying that Joe's sleepy dementia Joe has been colluding with them or whatnot because they trying to pretend and make it seem like it was Trump. It's everything they saying that Trump doing, it's the reverse, basically.
Gotcha.
And what I'm saying is that when Trump get back in there, they going and it's going to be another way that they're going to try to make Trump look bad. Let's try to impeach him again. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
They're going to try to use.
I think that's why.
Use this.
I think that's why the analysis or whatever, Tucker, whatever. That's why they're saying. I don't know how true this is. They're saying before Trump comes into office, they're saying that as a way to stop it all, is starting this hot war with Russia. And, I was wondering the same thing yesterday. I don't know how that keeps a president, but out of ignorance, many people in the chat informed me that it's not uncommon for the president during war to be reelected or something like that. And so that's the analysis that they'll start the war to prevent Trump 2024. and keep the status quo that you're talking about, keep the gravy train that you're talking about. And so you said what you're talking about is, my bad.
No, I'm just saying that everything gonna be cool right now, but as soon as he get back in the office, I see it taking off. Because remember, I said yesterday, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I mean, it ain't nothing to me and you are gonna be able to say that's gonna be able to change this. This already has been set out, and this is already gonna play out how it's gonna play out. It's just a snowball effect. It's a small snowball that's. As it keeps rolling, it's getting bigger and bigger. So I mean,
but you can't have a fight. Like you can't have a fight. You need two people for a fight.
Yeah.
And so, I admit this is simplistic, and I say this all out of sitting here in this chair, but you need two people to fight, and it looks like everybody, but it's like. Trump doesn't want to fight, and everybody else does. So if we get someone that doesn't want to fight, then we don't have a fight.
Well,
is that too simple?
I mean, I know what you're trying to say, but I can be throwing punches at you all I want to, and you ain't got to throw no punch back. But that don't mean when I punch you that one time and you drop down on the ground that I ain't gonna I'm just gonna stop kicking you and punching you. So you saying that it take two people to fight? I mean, if you think that, if we just turn our backs and act like, well, we just ain't gonna fight, then they ain't gonna fight. Or if you think that Russia's gonna just keep taking the back seat and keep getting kicked and punched or whatnot, and think that ain't nothing gonna come behind it, then. So I mean,
it's more like it's more like you got two people fighting. And you got one coach in the corner, just like feeding his fighter full of just propping him up with like drugs and just keeping him fighting. And then you get another guy that comes in and fires the first coach and says, you know what, this fight's over. And then tells the original fighters, here, this is what you guys get. That's it. If we're gonna use analogies here, that's the one I came up with on the spot.
Yeah, so you thinking that Trump is going to be the new coach, basically?
The new what? Yeah, the new coach.
You think he's okay? I see what you're saying.
But again, I really don't know. I don't really like this mentality that it just has to happen. They're we just have to have a war. Like even if the politicians did, this is a fantasy. But if we all collectively said, you know what, no, then we don't have to have a war. You know what I mean? Like.
So
I just don't like that mentality.
So what do you think that when the Israelites was fighting the Muslims back in the biblical times, you just think that they was just like, we're just going to not fight. They can just go ahead and invade.
Well, that's different. But but that's implying that Russia wants to invade USA and take us out. I think that's too far. I don't know. I don't know if you can you describe to me how? Do you believe that? And if so, can you tell me why is it that you believe that? That it should. Well, it's because it sounds like you're saying that should Trump come in and say he doesn't want the war, he wants to calm things down. Russia will say no. We're gonna fight it out, duke it out, nuke whatever we got to nuke, and we're coming after you, even all the way on U.S. soil. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not just saying U.S. soil. Basically, what I'm saying is you saying that if the people just say, we're not gonna do nothing, and we're just gonna let. What happens when you did do that with the border? Do people just stop and say, we're not just going to come over here? No, they're going to go. If you don't enforce the wall or enforce border control, they're just going to take advantage of it.
I see what you're saying. So not wanting to fight doesn't mean you won't defend yourself.
Well, not wanting to fight don't mean that you're not going to get attacked.
Right, and when you do, you'll defend yourself. But that's a different mentality than let's bring Ukraine into NATO. Let's keep getting closer to Russia, closer, and they keep telling us don't do it or we're going to fight, and we keep getting closer and closer. That's adopting a hey, we won't mess with you, don't fight with me, and I'll defend myself mentality is very different than the one I just previously described with NATO encroaching on Russia and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
it's pretty different, don't you think?
I mean, I kind of get what you're saying.
Because we don't know what the world would look like.
Say that one more time. Say it one more time for me.
I'm just thinking out loud here, because we don't know we haven't tried that. Okay, look, we don't know. Because you're saying, well, you're saying figuratively, you're saying, well, just because America doesn't want to fight doesn't mean that we won't get attacked, right? By whatever enemies we've made, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying, I think we'd be better off if America's foreign policy adopted a defensive mentality of, hey, you strike us, we'll strike back, right? This answers your border question, right? Because that would be an attack. All these immigrants, no, we can still defend ourselves. That would be a different mentality than the offensive mentality that U.S. seems to have right now, with encroaching NATO and encroaching on Russia despite their warnings to not do so.
Yeah. Oh, you just said you saying a lot there.
Yeah, I'm not being totally clear, but I'm just off the top of my head here.
Okay.
Do you see the U.S. currently being kind of not defensive? They're just actually kind of offensive here with the whole Russia stuff, instigating stuff, escalating things, as opposed to defending.
Yeah, because you're saying that they don't want to fight, but their actions are saying something else.
I'm saying Trump doesn't want to fight. The current establishment does want to fight. It seems like it. And so if we just had a guy that doesn't want to fight, I think that might change things.
The current establishment wants to fight, but Trump doesn't want to fight. But just because Trump don't want to fight don't mean, that's why I was just saying yesterday, Trump is only one guy. The rest of everybody else is liberals. You got a whole bunch of rhinos in politics, so Trump is only one person. You see what they did when Biden got in and he started flipping everything back around. So they know this too. So even if Trump get back in there, it's going to switch back to liberalism as soon as he get back out. And they knowing that. And it's almost like you might as well go ahead, get in the ring, go ahead and duke it out, because the fight is going to happen anyway.
You bring up you bring up an interesting thing, and I don't know about this getting in the ring anyway, since it's going to happen anyways. But you bring up an interesting thing in that, when you're talking about Trump in this way, and you're describing him coming in and basically ending the gravy train, if we can be simplistic here, to various, people in the government. But it's like when you start peeling back the onion here, you start really seeing the layers of rot, just how many people are in there, part of the gravy train. Is it really possible to end it all? Would it be? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they would right? They just wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow it. They want to keep it going.
Yeah. It's bigger than Trump.
And so that's the whole analysis here. That's the whole Tucker analysis here. That because of that mentality, and they see Trump as a wall pun. If you take it as a pun, as a wall they can't get past, so they got to take him down, and that's how Tucker arrived to the assassination stuff. I don't know, but anyways,
he only slowing it down, and I mean, his history is going to always repeat itself. I'm just going to look at the past history to know and to be prepared for what's to come. For the simple fact that what happened when Gaddafi tried to basically misplace the American dollar. They ended up assassinating, taking him out.
Where's Gaddafi now?
Yeah. So what's the difference between Russia and Russia with their gold back, Iran, or however they with their own money just misplaced in America?
Well, I mean, your question is what's the difference with Russia and all that? I think your question is when you ask that question, you're also asking, well, what's the difference with Trump? And I think personally, I may not be able to articulate totally in depth, but just the fact that the establishment is reacting in such a way, it points to me that he's quite different. In fact, different enough to be a threat, different enough to disrupt things, to require indictments and all this show and all this, and the Republican establishment basically showing their true face, going against him and the people. They took all that. To me, although I may not articulate fully what you're asking here, to me is different. It's different. To me, it's different and different enough, maybe. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
every time inflation and stuff goes up over the history, it's always been a war. Every time the inflation and the recession or something like this has happened, it's always been a war for years, decades, centuries. It's always been a war. If they misplace our dollar, it's going to devalue our money or whatnot, and people can keep talking about you get the chip this and the chip that. If your dollar and your money is being flooded out, then a chip in your dollar ain't going to mean nothing. So the way to protect your dollar is to end up going that route with Russia and China. And
I heard some of this. I just don't know.
And you notice when Dementia Joe put the tariffs or whatnot or banned Russia from doing business with us, Russia still ain't failed. It made Russia stronger. So that goes back to what I'm saying is everything he's doing is empowering these other countries and setting America back. So they love him right about now. But what I'm saying is when that gravy train run out and Trump in there 2024, then that's when they really going to be mad. Because they're going to be like, well.
So are you saying, and I just want to ask you out of my own ignorance, because I don't totally understand this stuff. Are you saying inflation goes up, the dollar value goes down, economy starts coming apart a little bit? One way to keep it going is war.
Yeah.
And why? How is it that war keeps that going? I don't doubt that.
Well,
I just don't know.
Well, it protects our dollar, and with us fighting, it makes our dollar stay stronger. Because basically we saying, no, you can't use your dollar. You got to come through us. We basically big brother and everybody saying, no, you got to use our dollar. If not, we going to put our foot up your butt.
So like, I gotcha. You got to keep adding people to the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
I'm okay with U.S. You might disagree, but with the U.S., maybe declining. But not going into war, but it declines and it contracts. The economy contracts a little. We all kind of get our quality of life might go down, but then we rebuild correctly. You know what I'm saying? And then we build because that's not the only way to maintain or build value to an economy and therefore your nation's dollar or currency. It's also another way is to have real things, have a real economy. Create things, create real skills, skilled people, etc. It might take more time. It might you can't do a war to get out of it, and you'll have some pain when the economy contracts, but at least you won't go to war.
Well, that's true. I get what you're saying. Build back.
It won't be nice for the people up top, but that's. But you see what I'm saying here? It's kind of just off the top.
Yeah, I mean it sounds nice or whatnot, but you got to think when. But there ain't no jobs over here, and okay, let's build back up or whatnot. Let's build houses. Let's keep everything in-house and whatnot. You still got to do these trades because these other countries have certain resources that American land doesn't have. So if people ain't doing business with us because we basically getting bullied and we being pushed around or whatnot, and they don't need to do business with us because they can go surpass us and get these other reefs from anywhere else. I mean, it's going to still end up turning back to where it's going to be problems over here on the U.S. American soil because if your citizens ain't happy or whatnot, they ain't able to go have an Art Weiser and sit down and watch the basketball game because everybody going homeless and going broke. You're going to cause problems over here on American soil. So either it's going to be over here on the soil or it's going to be with them.
I hear you, Art. It's interesting. Go ahead. Last comments here before we move the wheels.
And one more thing is, we talk about this. I'm not fear mongering, being scared or whatnot. I wasn't scared when
you don't sound scared.
The vaccine thing happened or whatnot. I took it in stride. I was one of the ones who was saying, I'm not going in no store with no mask. If Father God's going to take me off this earth, he could have been did it. And if he going to take me off the earth because I ain't wearing a mask and I don't want to get a shot, then he gonna do it. So I'm not the one. I always put my trust in Father God. You see what I'm saying? But I am.
Art ain't the one.
Yeah, for sure. Second thing is, I want to say this. I'm reading between the lines. I know that Tucker talked to Trump. I'm pretty sure that Tucker ain't throwing Trump under the bus and being like, man, Trump told me this. He put me on a lot of this inside game and told me some stuff that he might not have said on air or whatnot or put out that Trump told him, but I'm pretty sure that Trump told him a lot of things that I don't told you or whatnot. But it's just he ain't coming out and saying it. He's feeding us. He giving us tablespoons. That's just like Father God. Father God can't lay everything out in front of you at one point. He can't just reveal all the truth in one point because it's going to be too much for Nick. It's going to be too much for the chat room. It's going to be too much for the natural human for them to take in that they end up hurting themselves or intentionally and unintentionally hurting themselves when they taking in. So
I need my veil.
Yeah, you got to.
If you remove the veil from me too fast, I might die.
Yeah. But go ahead. Tell Sion I said she does not like me no more. She don't say what's up to RER or none of that, man. I mean, I ain't mess with AOC no more, allegedly. You know, she ain't my lady or whatnot. I miss her or whatnot.
Okay.
I like them sandwiches she made.
So some hollering going on, I believe. I believe that's what they call it. They call it hollering. I don't call it that. They call it that.
Hey, Nick, I'll catch you later, man. We still rolling with Trump. Keep this end up, King. Kang as Hake would say. I'll catch you later.
Right on. I appreciate your call. Sorry, y'all. I spent a little time there, but we're going to keep the calls rolling here. I see you all coming in. I'm going to get to you. Thanks for the patience. Let me get to you right away. But first, these few super chats here. You can support me via Rumble, Rants, or super chats here on YouTube, and I'll read them out loud. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 NTP, thank you for that. Says, one of the best ways to get good leaders is reserving your consent vote for full package moral man. No partial stuff. Peace. Thank you, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 with an emoji there, a little para guy. Is he working out? Either way. Oh, no, it's a little para guy saying cool. Right on. Gotta love it. And we got Nathan, thanks for that, says, draft all the homeless if war kicks off. Draft the homeless and the illegals, okay? They're going to try and make illegals into cops. Sign them up for the selective service first. How about that? No, wait, hold on. No, wait, hold on. That's a little bit too much knee-jerk. That's too much of a knee-jerk reaction because then they'll say, well, we were selective service people and give us citizenship. So wait, let's not be rash here. Sign them up for something that's not exactly the selective service, but it's essentially the same, but just don't call it the same thing. Honestly, don't sign them up for anything. Just round them up. Just round, like should war happen, just round them up, give them guns, train them, put them through the machine, and pop out the other side. They pop out as the illegal, regiments. The illegal regiments, okay? That's how it's going to go. That's how it's going to happen. All right, yo. So, man, wow, calls. Let me get to Brian, North Carolina. You're on the air. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. I want to make a point onto your point. I agree with you. You said it. You don't want to oversimplify it too much. Okay. I have a little issue with that. I don't know if there's a such thing as something being oversimplified, but
interesting.
I agree with you. I agree with you when you said that it takes two people. It takes two to fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Trump is obviously not fighting in the sense of what the word fight means in this situation, because we can see who's already fighting, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that we gotta really look at that, man, because I think that you're right. It's not gonna be. It doesn't have to be war, because war is two or more fighting. And the way I see it is, I think people forgot that Trump is known for being able to make deals.
Yeah. He's a man.
And that's typically what happens when you don't have when there's conflict and the conflict is not going to escalate to that next level. What usually happens is we come to an agreement, aka a deal. We make a deal. And I think Trump is proven to be tremendous at that. And I think he knows that. The way he talked, even the way he spoke about the war and how it should be ended, on television at one time, they kept trying to pin him on whether who he wanted to win the war. He's like, I just want the war to be over.
Yep.
And the way he speaks about it, the way he sounds like he sees it is that it's very, very simple. So simple in the fact that the way you see it as maybe we could bring our country back another way by getting our economics better, by doing things the right way. And yeah, people may not like it, but it's the way that it has to go. And I think that people are forgetting that about Trump, though. And I also think that if Trump is elected, the war will be over. And I think that not only that, but we will literally begin to see things take place to where America can start to attempt to make a difference and turn the wheels around, or turn them in just another direction, period, other than south.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you for that. I think you're right, man. It is '�𝒏𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕. You got to love simplicity, because I think that's where the truth is. And it's so true what you say, man. You can't have a war if you need two people to have a fight. If it's just one person, then it's just the devil yelling at himself. It's just true what you're saying. And you can consider this kind of mentality on a lot of things. It really goes beyond just this right here. You can go back to the other world wars. There's like different views on that whole thing, that we didn't have to have those wars. We did not have to fight. And so I think what you're saying is true. Simplicity, man, and it is still real. And that's true too. The Art of the Deal. The man wrote The Art of the Deal. Oh, whatever. He wrote a book. Hey, you're not looking at it simply enough.
Man, it's clear as day. And hey, by the way, man, because I meet a lot of people that like to say that thing right there. They like to tell me that I'm oversimplifying things too much.
Right.
But beware of those people. All right. If they think something's too simple, they ain't even trying to look at it. They ain't look. Yeah. I don't know what they're looking at.
So true. And it's
100.
Yeah, making a lot of sense, man. And you know, on wars, Ukraine, and just the current state of things, the more and more I realize that it's not for the reason things aren't changing and things aren't getting better. It's not because of a lack of it's not due to a lack of correct strategy or just the correct information or correct timing. No, it's purely, from what I'm noticing more and more, purely a lack of just anyone who just simply wants the right thing. You know what I mean?
Well, let's make it even simpler, Nick. It's not the lack of doing things the correct way. It's the lack of correction.
Yeah.
It's a lack of correction. Yeah. And you're right. That's through every facet in life, man. Through every single facet in life. If something's being done the wrong way, all it needs to be done is that it needs to be corrected. It needs to be pointed out and corrected, and then you can continue to move forward.
So true. We just distilled that into pure, into a more crystallized statement there. Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Right on, Brian.
All right,
appreciate that.
Take care.
Call me again. Moving the wheels. Right on, y'all. Right on. Yeah, I'm noticing just more and more that it's not a lack of, because you think, well, it's just timing, or we're just going to get the right guy or the right amount of money or the right strategy. We need a think tank to get the right strategy and the right thing to do, and then things will get better. No, I'm noticing it's because the people in there, there's like never, it's hard to find a single person who just wants to do the right thing. So, you know what I mean? Just like has the right mentality. We got an interesting caller here. We got an interesting caller on the line here. Let me get to a caller here. We've been wondering about him. Wondering about any updates here. In fact, we got Zeus, Florida, on the air. Zeus, you're on the air, sir.
What's going on, Nick? How are you?
Well, I'm fine. It sounds like you're alive and well.
Yeah, dude.
I don't hear wind. I don't hear wind. It sounds like you're underneath the roof too.
Yeah, I got tree didn't fall on my car or on my trailer. Everything's good. So it's funny. So like when they first, I guess, detected the storm, the meteorologists, they predict its path and all this stuff. And so on the first day and a half, maybe 2 days, they were predicting it to kind of curve in, and it would have hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would have went over me. However, if you watch the way the storm went, it kind of went up like north, I guess, and then curved. So it like kind of hit Tallahassee, where I didn't even really get affected. Like, it was wind, it was rain, but it wasn't that bad. It was cool because like I said, the park was empty, and so like I went to sleep. I woke up expecting, what's going to happen, and I got up and it was just windy and rainy. Nothing, and that was it. And no trees came down. It was like the way I feel about it is like, again, these meteorologists, I'm sure they work hard on their degrees or whatever to be a meteorologist, but they don't know the way it's going to happen. Only God does. And so like the way they were projecting the first day, they were wrong. And I don't know. It's just it's a good feeling. And it's funny because that whole day I was here almost by myself. There was like two other people here. And it was just cool because you hear something at the beginning of the week, right? And instead of panicking, you just live your life. Don't let it get to you and leave it in God's hands and you'll be all right. And I kind of feel like it's the same thing when you guys are talking about like this war or if there's going to be a war or what may happen to Trump. There's not really any point in like getting worried about it, speculating, just leave it to the will of God, and things will work out the way they're supposed to.
I think you're making sense here, Zeus. And you were telling us, for those that don't know, Zeus had called me, and he's a frequent caller, but he's in Florida, and the Hurricane Idalia was set to hit. People were evacuating around him, and he decided to stay put. We're getting reports now. Idalia weakens to a tropical storm as it moves over Georgia. Looks like you were always fine, Zeus, and it's interesting too because I was telling you, don't leave it open in your mind. Don't just decide that you're gonna stay. And it didn't sound like you were irrationally thinking either. Like I think I think it was clear in our conversation that if you had seen the necessity to really go, I think you would have gone. But I may have a little egg on my face, and here we have Zeus with no fear. It's good to hear that you're okay. Right on.
The funny thing about it, I was sitting here, I was thinking about it, right? And if it's God's will for me to like pass during this hurricane, the only sadness I would feel about it is I got taken out by a female hurricane, and that would mean that God thought I was beta. But he didn't take me out, so he must not think I'm beta. So
he moved the whole hurricane for you.
Honestly,
if you had not stayed put, it would have gone. Because you said you were the only one in the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had not stayed put, that whole area would have been hit. But you know how God said, said, find me one good person, I won't destroy the city.
Yeah, there it is. It's funny though because I was thinking it has to do a little bit with like just trusting God and knowing He's going to take care of you, and I feel like that is what I guess made it happen. You know what I mean? Like God saw faith, for lack of better terms. And I don't know. And it's just funny because, like, my neighbor, I was talking to him, and he's like, I have a bad feeling about this. He took his whole trailer, put it on, like, hooked it up to the truck and went. And he's like, I have a bad feeling. And he's like, you're not going? I was like, nah. And the funniest thing is I have another neighbor who works at the park, and they have a golf cart. And she left her key in the golf cart. So that night, I took the golf cart for a little joyride in the park. And nobody was here to catch me.
Obviously, Zeus is joking, obviously. He did this in Minecraft. He did this in the virtual world, maybe. Right, Zeus?
Yep. And the funny thing, now I'm working on the car. Got the water pump off. I was just about to put it back on, but I needed a break because
let's go.
Working on cars ain't easy.
No, it's sweaty work, and you can get you can pinch your fingies sometimes, and it hurts. It hoits.
Yeah, I did that when I was trying to take off the hose. There's like a little clip you got to push down, and it's like in a weird angle, and I kept pinching my palm, and it was quite annoying. But I just wanted to give an update and just tell everybody, don't worry about the future. Just live in the present, trust God, and He'll take care of you. That's really all it is. It's that simple. If you overthink, that's when it gets rough. When you panic, that's when it's not good. So that's my advice. I just want to give an update. Yeah.
Thank you, Zeus. Glad you're okay, and thank you for standing in the way of Hurricane Idalia, and saving that whole community. You're a hero.
Definitely. Yeah, I am Zeus after all. But I'll catch you later.
Right on, man. Pleasure. Call me again. Okay, moving the wheels. That was nice. And thought-provoking. I'm the type to poo-poo that kind of stuff and then get struck by something. I would deserve it too. Instead of having faith. You know what I mean? Anyways, let me see here. What shall we do now? Make sure I didn't miss any supers here. Okay. Okay, so what's next here? What shall we do now? They're talking about worldwide collapse. You've heard about this a little bit. Birth rates. The birth rates. Oi, I pinched my fingy. Nathan in the chat. What's up, Nathan? Don't pinch your fingies, kids. When you're doing manly things like working on your car. So they're saying birth rates, the population crisis is real. At least Elon Musk says so. In a viral tweet, in a viral post on X with 92 million views about this topic, okay? It's about population collapse. You've heard this before. The birth rates are low in the West. The birth rates are low in the U.S. They're low for the blacks. They're low for the whites. They're high for a lot of the immigrants, but then the immigrants, they have kids, and then those kids then adopt the low birth rates of the prevailing culture in America. Interesting phenomena going on. But they seem to be low in a lot of places, in fact, and I didn't know this. I thought maybe I had an inkling, but I don't know. I always heard of this population collapse talk with the white world, with America, the Western world. It's not just whites, but you'll hear it from the white people. And they'll say, white replacement. This is just more of that white replacement conspiracy mess. They'll call it white replacement like it's a conspiracy. The great replacement theory, like it's some far-off fantasy. Like as if white children are, for the first time, a minority in this country. So that's how I kind of know about it. But also beyond that a little bit, because there's the blacks as well. There's the abortion stuff. And I've met a number of activists, nice people, who trying to bring attention to the whole abortion in the black community stuff. It's out of control, okay? The black women are killing their young at such a degree. I mean, there's multiple factors here, right? They're in America. The prevailing culture is anti-child, anti-natalist culture. And then the enmity between the black man and the black woman, not making it a very fertile ground for families. And then so you got the women killing the children. On top of that, it's all led to a birth rate so low that blacks are unable to replace themselves. So are others in America, like whites and all that. But there's a couple I met at an event where Jesse spoke at, and I forgot their names. But this couple, they spoke a lot about this. Black abortion and the birth rates. And how blacks are below replacement rate or replacement level. I forget what they called it. Replacement rate. Okay. And there's a certain like level that should you fall below that, there's like no coming back from it. I can't remember too much of their presentation, but Jesse spoke at this event, and it's just coming back to me now for some reason. Their presentation, at least in part. And they spoke about the replacement rate, right? You need to be having this population needs to be having this many babies to replace themselves so they may continue, right? And the replacement rate is pretty low for blacks. And I remember looking it up for Canadians. And I remember back then looking it up because in the course of this presentation, I was informed that the birth rate is really low for black Americans and that they're almost at the brink of where should it fall below this certain rate, they won't be able to come back from it. They will just eventually, I guess, peter out or whatever. And then I looked it up for Canada. I was like, uh-oh, pretty bad. Birth rate, Canada. Not looking good. So Elon Musk says it's one of the biggest. The population collapse is the biggest threat to civilization, he says. And in this tweet that he retweeted this, and it has gone viral, 90 million views. He posts this photo of himself, and it just reads, "The population crisis is real." Oops, sorry about that. And it's referring to this post here, which reads, "Population collapse is the biggest threat to civilization." And it reads, "Japan had its largest total drop in population since 1968. U.S. population flatlining as birth rate stagnates. China's fertility rate hits record low. Singapore's birth rate falls to record low. UK births hit 20-year low. Italy's birth rate. South Korea breaks records for world's lowest fertility rate again." Hold up. Wait a minute. It's a low birth rate. So that's everybody. Wait a second. So it's everybody. It's China. It's Singapore. It's the UK. What about Russia? What low birth? Are the birth rates low in Russia? Russia's at least in 2020, Putin seek to stimulate birth rate. Russia's average birth rate of under 1.5 per woman. What's the U.S. birth rate? I believe it's very close to that. It's like, what is the current birth rate? It's 1.8. So if I'm going to believe the BBC here, then Russia is also dealing with population, very low birth rates. So it's everyone? So it's not just the West? I mean, is Russia the West? Would you call it Russia? I think it's fair. At least they share Western ancestry, the great Christian nations that brought us the modern world that we live in today. So Italy, China, Singapore. So it's everybody? Nobody having babies? What's going on here? I thought it was a big old anti-Western white thing, which I think there's segments of that. That's true, and I think quite a bit. But hold up. It's everybody. Am I understanding this here correct? I don't buy the birth rate drama. Sounds like climate change. Fair enough, Nada. Fair enough. That's an interesting point. Silly humans worrying about things that happen naturally. Maybe that's an interesting point, Nada. That's an interesting point. India going strong, says Carver. India birth rate. Oh, yeah, you're right about that. Why is the birth rate so high in India, asks this article. But it's from what I'm understanding here, it seems like it's more than the Christian nations in the West that's suffering from a drop in the birth here. Drop in the birth rates. And so I'm wondering what that means. It's kind of interesting. And I really like what you said there, Nada, and I think there's an interesting point. There's some truth to what you're saying there, I think. Maybe populations just, they shrink. They shrink due to this or that reason. And maybe the world governments here are trying to prop up their Ponzi scheme of an economy they've had going on for the past few decades, enjoying post-World War II splendor and building these decadent societies that at this point now require more people at the bottom to keep it going. We got to keep the gravy train going. And maybe through this sick desire to keep that going, they need to also increase populations. And the births, they're not doing it with the births, so we got to bring in the immigrants, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder. That's an interesting point, Nada. Maybe populations just shrink. And you can't just prop them up. You can't just prop them up. They need to be held up by actual food production, actual real things, economy. And sometimes they just got to shrink. Anyways, that's a side point. I just found this interesting that it seems like more than just the West is suffering from low birth rates, okay? And that's just interesting, don't you think? What is in these nations that's having people act in such a way? And there's been all sorts of research, right? As nations rise in economic power, GDP, quality of life for the average person, they have less children. Maybe that's just a natural progression of stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Because countries like Niger, or Niger, if you ask some, have crazy birth rates, like 33 births per woman, like insane birth rates. They're just pumping out babies over there, Niger. Even though, and you know what's interesting, this is kind of even more of an aside point here, but since I mentioned Niger, 67 people arrested at gay wedding in Africa. We cannot copy the Western world. This is from the Western Journal. Yeah, 67 people arrested. Police in Nigeria, sorry, not Niger, not Niger, but Nigeria said Tuesday they detained at least 67 people celebrating a gay wedding in one of the largest mass detentions targeting homosexuality, which is outlawed in the West African country. What is Nigeria's birth rate, for that matter? Fertility rate in Nigeria? 38 to the U.S. 1.7. Huh. Nigeria, 38 to the 1.7 of the U.S. Well, I'm not saying we should be like Nigeria, but they're not copying the Western world. I don't know if we're really getting any insight in this segment, though, y'all, because as we just saw, more than the Western world is suffering from this. And I don't know if we really want to be Nigeria, but but at least they're not tolerating gay weddings. I don't know what we can glean from that connection there, but let's get back to what I was reporting on here. Halfway reporting on Japan. Okay, I already told you all that. Low birth rates. Okay. Low birth rates are a problem, says this Patrick Casey on Twitter, but this person says low birth rates are a problem, but mostly because they're used by elites in the West to rationalize mass immigration, replacing a nation's people with foreigners. I think it's maybe a number of things going on here. You could call it replacing a nation's people. But if you follow any of this, what Art was talking about in the previous call, you need people to keep this going. This could you call it a pyramid scheme of an American economy? And we're not making enough of them, so you got to bring them in somehow. And any negatives from these people coming in en masse be damned, right? I think that also explains a little of the mentality behind immigration. But it is true this Patrick Casey is correct. You'll see it even with Republicans. You'll see it even with the conservative crowd. They'll say, well, no illegals, but we need to stamp visas, HSB, whatever they call them. Give visas basically to the educated people and just start bringing them in. As long as they have a university degree, just start bringing them in. I don't care what they believe in. I don't care what the language they speak or how they feel about the country coming in. They have a degree. Give them a visa. So, but this stuff is, it's still going on. It's kind of heating up a little. Outraged New Yorkers protesting. I mean, this looks like a pretty sizable crowd. This is New York. This doesn't look like it's nobody cares. Seems like somebody cares. And New York recently just saw the biggest surge of illegals. Okay, with some. So people are kind of fed up. And look at this. Oh, look, I'll just play it for you. But this is also kind of what we were talking about earlier. Two sides fighting. What's going on here? Wow! It turned into fists. That guy went after the what is it called? The loudspeaker there, the blowhorn. He went for that, trying to take it out of his hands. I don't know if he should have done that. Starts getting striked silly. Buddy in the blue just starts feeding him the left, right there, buddy. Oh, yeah. Just feeding him the left, right. Oh, yeah, bud.
Save our children. No quarter, brother.
People getting arrested, too. Like,
Everything that the politicians fear that are in City Hall right now.
Back up.
Back up, guys.
Back up.
Stand with us. Stand with us. Man, anything cops right here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
New York, outraged New Yorkers, resettlement of thousands. Imagine that, just resettling a bunch of these people. Thousands of them in hotels and all this stuff in your country. Wow. Yeah, just feeding them the left, right there. Okay, last thing here before I get to calls. You know, I showed you this before. I mean, it's just kind of video hour here, I guess. Showing you clips, I guess, from around the net. I mean, I've shown you this, but it bears... You know, it's kind of important. They welded these open. You've seen this. And I saw a video where they actually, that's not just a headline. That's not just like a headline. They actually welded them open. And they're saying it's for the water, to let the water through and the nature. It requires, at this time, this is required so that the nature. And I heard reports that the Trump administration did this too. And so, I don't know. It's not the same. Let's say you had a strong border, the wall was finished, and you were detaining people, sending them back. You did all the things. You were doing all the other stuff correct. Well, then, yeah, you can open up the doors and do the correct stuff for nature. But none of that's happening. So this is, you know, unacceptable. Incredible. It's just, yeah, unacceptable. What else here? I think that's everything here. Let me just get to this call. Latin A in Cali. How you doing, Latin A? You're on the air.
Hi. I really don't trust any statistics at all because I think that they're lying, especially when they say things like when they do polls for politics. I'm like, well, you guys didn't ask me. How come nobody asked me? Everybody I know, you know, thinks like me, and they're on the same track as me, like within like family and stuff. Like, it's just really weird. Like, and then plus I kind of know how statistics work, and they can totally mess up the stats on everything because they can't get a rural poll unless everyone actually really votes for something, you know? Because if you go to like a nice neighborhood and do a poll, it might be different than like the poor side of neighborhood where everyone's like on welfare, you know?
I gotcha. Yeah, so that statistics, you know, lying with numbers, that's definitely true. You're saying you're a little incredulous on any talk about birth rates?
I'm very, I mean, like the only women that I've ever known that have had problems getting pregnant were ones that had been on birth control.
Mm-hmm.
And, but, you know, after they got out over that hump, they didn't have any problems getting pregnant again because, like, there's too many women who are, like, on welfare and stuff, and there's no father in the house. You know what I mean? I'm
following you. You're saying that, I mean, what you're describing is your point. I mean, your like evidence here is that it's not difficult to get pregnant, but I don't think that's what people are saying is the issue, because it's not that it's difficult, but that they're just not getting pregnant, right? And I agree that we shouldn't go along with these stats because they lie with stats and all that. And I didn't quite consider this until kind of today with earlier this comment from someone in the chat saying that it could just be natural, and here we are freaking out, kind of like the climate change stuff, over some numbers about birth rates. But
yeah, I heard you say that.
And I think that's very interesting, very sobering. But how do you see, like, let's say you're talking about your friends anecdotally. It may be true that it's easier to get pregnant than they think, but do you see a lot of them getting pregnant in the first place? Because I know a lot of, and this is my cohort, I guess my generation and stuff, I know a lot of women that are just not getting married and they don't want to have kids.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to, originally I told your operator that third world countries, if you compare third world countries, like, they're not dying, and they're like they have less medical help out there than we do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, maybe the average American woman, maybe there are some that aren't getting married and having babies, but there are a lot of people that, the ones that do get married are probably having, like, the ones I know, they're having like 5 and 10 kids.
Gotcha.
Because I know a lot of nice white people who are like Latter-day Saints. So
gotcha. But the
babies are very beautiful.
I guess the worry here, and not my worry, but the worry of Elon or whatever, who've analyzed these things. Well, they're saying, although it may be true what you're saying, there's the ones who are having kids are having enough. It's not enough to replace. It's just not enough. But you're saying you don't even believe that number that they're giving us, that we're not replacing ourselves. You don't even believe that, though, is what you're saying.
Like, I don't believe the mainstream media. They lie about too much.
Totally.
But that's all I just wanted to say is, like, why are these third world countries people not dying and they don't have, like, medical care like first world countries do, you know?
Oh, okay. So that's a separate point. I didn't consider this. Is it true? So you're telling me people in third world countries, they're, I guess, shall we call it a mortality rate that's comparable to they're not countries like America?
They're not dying fast enough if they are, because, like, they're coming here now.
True. They're definitely, but I'm trying to understand what you're saying here. Are you saying that despite these third world countries and their lack of technology and medicine that we enjoy here, they're not dying they're dying at rates that are similar to the advanced countries?
I'm saying that it doesn't seem like they're dying enough in comparison with even the first world countries. And I really think that the media is trying to push things we need when we really don't. Like, we don't need all these juice boxes. You know what I mean?
When you say juice boxes,
we have to start speaking in code. The chat knows what I'm talking about.
But that's also that's a third different thing. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's like a third point. Different from the medical stuff and different from the immigration stuff. I'm trying to understand. Now you're saying we don't need juice boxes.
Yeah.
Is that by way of immigration?
No. Because you're always working, like, you're not on YouTube like we are in the chat. They know what I'm talking about. You don't, because you're always working and trying to make a show for us. You know what I mean? So you're busy on that sector, and we're busy in this sector.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Jewish people?
No, juice boxes.
Oh, then I don't know. Then now I really don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't want to have to be forced to take juice boxes. Like, third world country people aren't dying without the juice boxes. Why do we have to be forced?
Oh, are you talking about schmaxines?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. That's like a third separate thing. I don't think you're wrong about anything you're saying. I'm just trying to follow the conversation here. I literally thought you were talking about Jewish people. No, but the chat knows. No, the chat knows. And now they really know. Nick cracked the code. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I appreciate it. In fact, I appreciate your code, your coded language. I do appreciate it. It shows that you You shows that you care about the show and respect it. So I do appreciate that.
Yes, I do. I do appreciate
And that's
you
clear.
and Hake and Jesse. And you
and
know
that's
what?
clear as heck. So thank you.
Somebody tried to talk smack to me about JLP, you know? And I
And
was
you
like, no,
beat the crap out of him.
Yes. Did you know that? Did you see?
Did you actually? I was just joking.
Yeah.
What
No, not in real life. Not in real life. Just like.
Okay. You mean in the psycho-spiritual plane?
No.
You astral projected and fought them in that realm? Very cool.
Yes. It was a spiritual battle.
Super cool. Well, thanks for your support at Latin A. I don't think you're wrong. And we don't need juice boxes. Because I'm a big kid now.
I have to let you hang up on me, though.
All right, Latin A, call me again. Moving the wheels.
All right.
Right on, Latin A. Thank you. Don't say crap, kids. Sorry, kids. Oh, funny call. Well, I was trying to follow. What was Latin A saying? I was trying to follow there. You know, because it sounded like she was saying there was a bunch of stuff rolled into one there. Thanks for your call. Okay, what shall we do next? What shall we do now? Let's move on to this. The black vote. Huh. You might find this interesting. This is kind of this is kind of been brought up due to Trump. I talked about this with Art. You know, Trump, the mug shot coming out, and now there's all this like black support for Trump. And we're getting all these videos, this guy with the shirt saying N-words for Trump. And Art and I had a funny call about that. And then you got these people that are coming out saying, hey, blacks for Trump. And there's these video compilations now. We played one on the Jesse Lee Peterson show of black people showing support for Trump. You're getting all these reports. They're saying, now I don't know how true this is. They're saying that Trump's mugshot and being criminally indicted has actually polled positively with the blacks. And I don't know what that means, and I don't know if that's true. I don't know how true that is. Personally, I don't believe that. I don't know. Maybe you guys will show me I'm wrong here. I don't think that blacks are just. Oh, he a criminal? He a criminal? Oh yeah, he's my guy now. Like no, I don't think it's that simple. Maybe some, but I think the videos we're seeing and all these people they're quite lucid in their support for Trump, and they see that it's just it's a witch hunt. They're going against him politically. At least in the videos and stuff I've seen, the people I've talked to, and the comments I've seen, it seems like people are pretty lucid. The blacks that are supporting Trump, it's not just, oh dang, he a real thug, he's a real gangster. Now we're supporting him. I don't think so. Maybe some. I'm not going to doubt that. But look, on this topic, I was wondering myself, like, is this just hype? Like, whatever. I didn't give it too much attention, but I came across this article by The Root, which is, they say they're black news and black views with a whole lot of attitude. That's their tagline. It's a news publication. They've been around for a number of years. I've reported on them before. They've been around for a while. They call themselves The Root. And so let me pull up this article here for you. Don't say Niger, kids. You guys are funny in the chat. Here's the article. Why the MAGA's effort to steal the black male vote has surged but must be stopped. So The Root seems to believe it's a surge. They seem to think it is a surge. Sizable enough for them to write this. Why the MAGA's effort to steal, they're saying it's to steal the black male vote, has surged but must be stopped. If you don't know, if it's not clear to you yet, The Root, they're like liberal Democrat losers, okay, communists who want to keep blacks in the Democratic plantation, as they say. The article goes on here, says, the MAGA leaders are trying to divide black people, but it's only going to empower us. And it's this, I don't know, a young black guy in a suit, Black Lives Matter, fist in the air. And so this article goes on and on about this, how it's evil, how it's these racists basically trying to steal the black vote from the Democrats. It's so interesting they use that language, to steal it, like it belongs to the Democrats. And it sure seems like it when you think about how blacks very commonly vote Democrat. They're like a monolith in that sense. But they shouldn't be, right? As other black conservatives, I've heard them say, blacks are not a monolith. And they shouldn't be, but they are. They are. I mean, that's why the Democrats use them in this way, because they clearly are not individuals. But things seem to be, the tides are a-changing. At least some think this. The Root seems to think this. And the Root's Twitter post on this very article was very interesting because I went to it. And again, the Root, far left, communists. These people will write this or that article about some black event, black this, black that, of George Floyd. And in the comments, everybody will be like, right on, yeah, Black Lives Matter, blah, blah, blah. But I came across this The Root post on Twitter about this article, why the MAGA's effort to steal the black male vote has surged. And it's gone pretty viral, 1.5 million views. Okay, it's doing all right on Twitter. And what do I see in the Twitter comments here? The comments here are quite interesting. Hold on. Just trying to pull them up here. It's black people. It seems to have ignited black Twitter. Or is it now Black X? Should we call it Black X now? Because it's like black people in the comments being pretty lucid about the whole thing, kind of how I described. Let's see if we can go down to some of them. Trump going to be indicted for stealing the black man vote. Big 6 crying face laughing emojis from this black man. Wow, this post was sure ratioed, said this hermit guy. This other black lady with a meme, she posts, says, no, I checked my receipt. I didn't buy any of your BS. Wow. This other black girl, don't put your confidence or trust or faith in this world. Set your mind on things which are above, knowing that when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall we also appear with him in glory. Right on. And it just goes on. It just goes on with black X users saying they're not buying the okie doke. You misspelled earn, says this one person. Did she write this, says this other person, posting a picture of Hillary. Dr. Daryl Scott says, so now Trump is being accused of slave stealing, huh? Sharice Lane, a black woman, says, the black male vote isn't owed to anyone and they aren't obligated to vote for one specific party either. Let them vote for who they want. They have the freedom to do so in this country. Right on, Sharice Lane. Hotep Bond, who gon' stop it? The future of race hustlers really sounds like why blacks who think for themselves must be crushed. I mean, is this a bit of a white pill, y'all? Come on. Can we not be so... That's... What are you guys thinking in the chat? I'm sure these women are all happily married. I mean, we don't always have to be all doom and gloom. This is kind of a nice thing, don't you agree? I mean, this is just one post. But it's not just a post. It's a 1.5 million viewed post, and all the top comments haven't been ratioed into obscurity, and they're all pretty positive. They're not buying the okie doke. They're not buying the BS. I mean, that's kind of sick, no? I deleted that gay Elon app. Right on, Nathan. What are you guys saying in the chat here? In the last election, Trump actually lost the white vote. He gained with Mexicans and blacks, but his dumb advisors will keep him pandering to blacks. Yeah, it's an interesting comment, Kevin. I kind of agree. I can't remember the exact stuff, but I remember I knew it back then. But I remember I started noticing the moment where some of the more deeper white constituents kind of maybe turned a little due to the pandering. But I don't know how really effective that was, because Trump commands a really loyal base. And so to the base, I would say, let him pander a little bit. I'm not saying it should if I'm remembering correctly, around 2020, I think the pandering did kind of cheapen the message a little bit. If I'm remembering correctly here, I could be wrong. And now I'm not saying it should do any of that. But to the base here, can we just stay strong all the way and let him pander a little bit? Because it's like he already got us and we need to win this election. We got to win the country, blah, blah, blah. There's a little bit of that, right? A little bit. Can we have a little bit of room for that? A little bit. Latin A and Cali, are you saying this post, this X post here is all lies, lies, lies? I haven't had a Twitter account, so none of you have a Twitter account. Okay, fair enough. Same as Zuckerberg's app. I retweet to my Twitter JLP and Fleck's stuff, but I never browse Twitter. Right on. Emperor of Cats, pleasure to have you here. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I think it's interesting enough. You know, the root getting ratioed here. It's kind of nice. Get ratioed, the root, and your dumb communist lies. Doesn't look like blacks are, at least not these blacks in this comment section. At least they're not a monolith, and I appreciate that. Individuals. Damn, why not just title it Black Men? Get your monkey at A in line. So dehumanizing, it makes me want to vomit. See? There's some people thinking for themselves here. Anyways, y'all. Saying the quiet part out loud. Right on, Rebecca. We're just reading the comments here. So these people are thinking of steal the black vote. You don't think black people are capable of making their own decisions? Ask Saul, who is looks like he may have dark skin. Right on. So, right on. If you go on Twitter in your free time, you probably take blue pills. Dang, Matthew. Right on, Latin A and Cali. I'm following you. Making sense. Anyways, so what's next here? We got to come together, says Sinister Laugh. And some might see that as like dumb and a fantasy, but it might still be possible. And I think Trump can do it. Where was I? Getting a little lost here. You know who should have profiled? Speaking of demographics here. Speaking of demographics, did you hear about this guy? This retired Navy officer. 100 stitches. He got beat up by a crowd he should have not walked by. In retrospect, he realizes it wasn't smart to walk past this crowd here. Talking about a veteran, Navy veteran, brutally beaten, robbed while walking dog in the Brewery Town section of Philadelphia. Let's watch this news report here.
5:30, Philadelphia. Now the details here at 5:30. Philadelphia police are searching for a group who violently attacked a military veteran. The mugging left him shaken and seriously injured. He was ambushed while walking his dog near his Brewery Town home. Action News reporter John Paul now looking to the details here and spoke with this victim. John.
Yeah, and he.
Let me. They always do this preamble. The news, the regime. What's it called? Legacy media has this like formula when presenting stories, and it's always the same. I'm not saying it's not good or effective. It always shows first they do the anchor, and then let's go to Todd, who's over there, and then Todd, he gives his little pre-report, and then they get to the actual report. So let's get to the actual report.
He was attacked and robbed.
Right here.
Scott Harris served overseas in Iraq and as an advisor in Ukraine, but he didn't get these wounds from an active war zone. He got them in Brewery Town on Saturday night.
I thought it was kind of ironic. You know, I spent a year in a war zone and 2 years in a country that is not so safe. And then I come here and get attacked in my own neighborhood, a block from my house.
These are the last moments he remembers. You see him taking his dog Nora for a walk near 30th Street. He can't remember the beating that happened next because he was left with a brain injury.
Next thing you know, I'm in the emergency room getting stitches. The surgeon, he said,
Stitches.
Stop counting at 100 on the stitches.
The Navy veteran was left with broken teeth, a concussion, and cuts all over his face. His wallet and credit cards were stolen, and so was a special memento.
The only thing I cared about was my mother passed, so I had her driver's license in my wallet because I always wanted to keep her close.
He and his partner Joseph believe he was attacked by a group
Partner? So he really was in the Navy. But obviously, I'm not the first one to make this joke. If so, too soon? Is it too soon? I'm not laughing at his pain. He's saying he has a partner, a male partner. Back to the story of Scott here, who was brutally beaten, robbed while walking his dog.
License in my wallet because I always wanted to keep her close.
He and his partner Joseph believe he was attacked by a group of people throwing a party in a kid's park. They had already called police about the gathering, but no one responded. They also believe 3 women at that party took pity on him, helping to carry him home.
When he got back to the house, I realized that he was bleeding. His shirt was soaked, his pants were soaked, and I didn't know if he was stabbed or what.
In surveillance, you see an ambulance take him away. He would spend 3 days in the hospital. But he's not letting the attack change who he is. But he will approach the streets of his own neighborhood a little differently.
But you can't let things like this change you or make you not trust people anymore. You just maybe need to be a little more vigilant.
Interesting. So I got Artie Art Too Smart in the chat asking, is that Art? Is that our Art? Is that Art from Ohio in the chat? Anyway, someone named Artie Art Too Smart in the chat asks, where was this at, Nick? And puts seven emojis, fingers to the chin thinking emojis, eyebrow upturned, Where was this at, Nick? It was in Philadelphia. Now, we don't really see who the attackers were here. Yes, he talks with an effeminate accent, Mr. Mad. Well, I believe he's gay. I think he said has a partner, a male partner. Yeah, he got beaten, Kevin Howe, and he got beaten when he walked past a party, raucous party that he, in hindsight, realizes he should have never walked by. He walked by this party, large party going on across the street. He says that in hindsight, I probably should not have walked near. Next thing I remember, I'm in the ER because I kind of blacked out after that. He gets attacked and robbed. Wallet containing his credit cards. And his ID was stolen. And I'm wondering if a little racial profiling would have gone a long way here. Now, we don't know the attackers here. We don't know. Oh, I see what you're saying, Mr. Mad. Sorry. We don't know, but Philadelphia, raucous party, they're just attacking a man. Now, we can agree that definitely some profiling, just profiling in general would have helped. That's a raucous party, individuals, maybe drinking. I don't know. Let me stay away from that. You know, Revolver.News was the one that was asking this question. Revolver.News was the one asking if a little racial profiling might have gone a long way for this guy here. They write in this headline, could racial profiling have saved this gay Navy vet from a bloody beatdown? So Revolver News confirming it is a male partner. There it is. I'm highlighting it there. Oh, wait, I'm not showing you guys. Hold on. I'm highlighting the article here. Could racial profiling have saved this gay Navy vet from a bloody beatdown? You heard the Navy vet say he's not going to let this change him. You know?
But he will approach the streets of his own neighborhood a little differently.
But you can't let things like this change you or make you not trust people anymore.
You can't let this change you or let you trust people anymore. It kind of reminds me a little bit of, who was it? I heard it on the Hake Report. Is it Henry Rollins? Henry Rollins, the guy from Black Flag, getting beat up or getting bullied by blacks, but then growing up to be a total liberal. I bet you Henry Rollins also too thought to himself, I'm not going to let all these black people beating me up change me who I am. Right? Are you following me here? I feel like Henry Rollins might have had a similar mentality. And so this Scott individual guy here who got beat. He's saying he's not going to let this change how he is. You know what? This is a little interesting side note to the story. Because in this article, Scott Harris, the Navy vet here who got beaten, he reveals that they stole his wallet, and the part that gets him the most is that in his wallet he had his deceased mother's driver's license that he kept close to him to remember her by. And that's what hurts him the most, the fact that now it was hard for him that he lost her, he says, and now he doesn't even have that, the driver's license. And I may be stretching this here. This may be a bit of a stretch. It's like, I don't know this man. I don't know his heart. But he did reveal he's in a partnership with a man. You got to wonder what's the connection there? The mother adopting the female spirit, being gay in his adult life, having a male partner, and then this mentality of,
It's like this change.
I'm not going to let this change me.
You, or make you not trust people anymore. You just maybe need to.
I don't know where the connection lies. Maybe it's a stretch, but maybe some of you see what I'm talking about here. Maybe it's time to let go of your mama. Maybe you already did. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure that massive beating hurt him the most. Yeah, so kind of emblematic too of the mentality of white people a little bit. Just showing too much respect where it's not, not required, not appropriate. It's fine, Scott. Let me tell you, Scott, if you're listening, Scott Harris, it's totally fine to racially profile for your own safety. You know? That's fine. You're not evil for doing that. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew says, shout out to Nick for all his insights. You said a funny comment earlier, Matthew, but I forgot it. Anyways, so that's the story of Scott Harris. Scott Harris. Yeah, man. Maybe a little profiling might have helped. Might have gone a long way here. You know what I mean? Scott Harris. And what is anyways, I was about to jump into something else, but I don't know if we got the time for that. What a mess. Let me just make sure I got every super chat here. What's up, Mildegrew? Austin L. Stewart. Dennis 2020. Rylam. Steve Straka, Hake Report, and Deconstruct. I got new names in the Rumble party. You guys keep the party going. Even though sometimes you'll sit in the sidelines on your phones, not really interacting, at least you showed up to the party. Thank you. Austin L. Stewart has a funny comment over there on Rumble. Says, you show too much respect to YouTube. That might be true, but hey, there's a appropriate time for respect. I'm enjoying YouTube's algorithm and audience, and so I got to abide by their rules a little bit. But I think Steve Strock over there on the Rumble chat makes an interesting and poignant comment. Says, Nick needs to do a Rumble-only exclusive stream and say all the stuff YouTube doesn't like. That's a smart idea. Maybe I should do the conspiracy alien show before Hassan does. Shout out to Wow Hassan. You don't want to miss it. Next week, he's going hard. Wednesday at 11 a.m. If you haven't seen Hassan's new show, very nice. Profiling is a natural thing, even for the animal kingdom. So true, Matthew. Thank you for that little bit of, so sobering message there. It's just true. Artie Art Too Smart in the chat says, oh, he a liberal partner? What the? You get what you vote for. I don't even feel bad for him. Make your bed, now lay in it. Dude sounds zesty. Zesty Fest Rainbow Crew. I think that is art. That actually might be art. Like the real art in the chat. I didn't know Art chatted. I didn't know Art was in the chat. Now I can't confirm, but I think that's him. He's saying zesty. Make your bed, now lay in it. Zesty. All right, y'all. Let me get to this last call here as we close out the show. Jeff, Louisiana, you're on the air. Appreciate your call.
Yeah, man, I just want to ask you.
Is this your first time calling me?
Yeah, it's first time calling you.
Nice, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate your call, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I don't mind calling you so. I ain't called hate no more. I quit watching the show after yesterday.
Why?
Because I asked
Just yesterday? Just yesterday you quit?
Yeah, that's why I asked the question. I told
don't be so rash. It's just yesterday.
Well,
Give it some time. Sleep on it.
No, my point is I asked him a question. I want to ask a question. I told Sean, I want to ask my question. And then he hung up on my call, didn't take my call, but he went and announced it on his show that, well, you want to ask your question, call back.
I heard him say
man,
that.
It's an honest question, and he didn't want to answer it. I mean, it wasn't negative towards him. It just, I saw a question. What I asked was, I don't know if he's gay or not, because he all he does is talk bad about women.
I completely forgot about all that, and I don't want you bringing that up on my show. What's wrong with you?
Okay,
now
well,
I see. Did he hang up on you?
No, he never answered the call. He just.
But did he hang up on you when you said that?
No, Sean took my call.
Okay, because if he did hang up on you, then I was about to hang up on you. Okay, no problem, Jeff.
Okay, why are you
don't worry about hate so much. I suggest sleep on it. It's just been one day. Maybe tomorrow you'll feel different.
I just want to ask you, I watch your show, and I try to watch a few times, and I like you, when you answer calls and everything else, I like you, but, man, your show, I just want more to get the content for it, because I watch the show, try to watch the show a few times, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's just like you're all over the map.
Yeah, a little bit. So you're saying, what doesn't make sense?
Just the format of the show. I mean, you don't pick a topic and go on. You just you read something, you're bounced all over the map. It's like
a little bit, yeah. You don't like that?
Normally you have a topic of discussion. People call in and say, okay, this. It's like JLP on what was it? Tuesday. No, it's not Bible on Thursday, but Tuesday somebody called in with a Bible, something that's the Bible, and he kind of stayed on that same format through the show.
Yeah, sometimes I have themes and sometimes I don't.
Okay, man, that's all I say, man. I ain't gonna hold you up. You have a good day.
Yeah, no problem, Jeff. Take care. And if you have any more criticisms, Jeff, if you got any more criticisms, don't hesitate. Email me. Anybody who does, radio@JesseLeePeterson.com. I could be a little bit of a mess sometimes, but sometimes I get a real inspired show and I get it all put together. And sometimes we got themes. It's thematic sometimes. And then sometimes it's a mess. I had a really good criticism the other day from Anna, who made a good point about my Friday show. And she really likes that format and the energy and my vibe I bring on the Friday shows. And she kind of had a similar comment about the daily show here in the studio. Kind of she had more issue with the energy I have with the callers in the daily show. There's something about sitting in this chair where it's just the wrong energy. So Anna or anybody, have you noticed I've been kind of trying to bring that energy here on this show? I like it. I think I've done that a little bit. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think about the Friday show versus this show here. If you guys like both, I would love to hear what you guys think. Trying to bring some of that energy back here onto this daily show. I hope you guys have noticed it. A little bit more chill. I take more time with the callers and bringing in some of that energy with the callers here on the daily show. But what else? I had another question for you guys about my show, and I forgot it. Anyways, y'all, we keep it going. We got more show. We got the Nick Stream flight tomorrow. Speaking of the flight, you don't want to miss it. Thank you, Mr. Mad. Mr. Mad, thank you. And thank you, Emperor of Cats. Appreciate that. So, speaking of the flight, don't miss it tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Around that time, we're hoping to take off. That's the projected takeoff time. Don't miss it. Tomorrow we got a flight. Where are we flying to, y'all? I don't know yet. I'm open to suggestions. Where? Oh, interesting. I got people who like the Friday show better. I got people who like the daily show better. This is why I'm a diverse individual. Okay. You know, they say jack of all trades, master of none. And I kind of like, I don't like that. I'd rather be a master. But this is the life I have, and I hope you're entertained. And we'll keep the entertainment going for tomorrow. We got a Friday flight. Don't miss it. Follow, subscribe here so you don't miss it when we go live for the flight. We love Anchor Baby Airlines. We love taking flights on Anchor Baby Airlines. Much appreciated, y'all. The chats, the supports, the calls, and everything. We keep it going, y'all. Take care. I'm gonna sign out for today. Catch you guys tomorrow. Let me make sure I'm gonna sign out here properly. Make sure everything's good here. Okay. All right, y'all. I'll say goodbye one final time. I do like saying it multiple times for some reason. All right, y'all. Take care.